This is a reading from the Notebooks by Maria Valtorta, 1944, July 6th. For those judging in human terms, I ought to be in a state of misfortune. Since yesterday I have instead been in a state of great grace. After having undergone the hellish battle on the afternoon of the 4th, which I wanted to write down, for it struck me as proper that it should be written, I wept greatly. I was really exhausted, crushed. During the night, anxiety brought me out of Sopor at 3 a.m. It had been a long time since that had happened to me. I went on crying desolately. I think my heart was dislocated even more. I then prayed. Afterwards I made my usual offerings. And when I came to the one for Nenolina, see the entry for June 14th, I said to her, Nenolina, give it yourself to Jesus and tell him to have me go back to my house. See the note, number 312. If you say so, he will listen to you, and you can understand, you that were so sick, what the suffering of an infirm woman means. And Nenolina appeared to me, dressed in white, almost as tall as Marta, with her thoughtful, shining eyes, smiling and luminous, with a sash of light at her side, in the place where the big wound was. Is it you? I asked. She replied to me with the smile of a happy girl. Are you very happy? Another smile of assent. And your leg? Nenolina spoke. It's no longer of use. Here, where I am, nothing is of use any longer. Love is enough. And with the act proper to a girl, she pirouetted halfway around, laughing with all her little teeth. Do you love me, Nenolina? A smile of assent. Remember to tell Jesus that poor Maria has only him, and hopes in him alone. A smile and a farewell, and the figure dissolved into light. Then Jesus came with those two dictations, and this morning, after a night of peaceful Sopor, consoled by divine caresses, there was the sublime dictation. This must be a dictation on the agony in Gethsemane, written that same July the 6th. The handwritten original has not been found, but only typewritten copies. And even in human terms, I am content, because I am still a woman, and received a flower today. As Jesus says, a small thing for a big spirit, as Jesus says. Big? Mine? Big? No, but a spirit tending to grow so as to please God, him alone. Well then, I received a small thing, a flower of human love, and it did my poor, flayed humanity such good, entirely flayed and stricken on the lacerations from bandages like nettles. In me, spirit and humanity are thus joyful. O blessed Lord, who have had mercy on your poor Maria, but my Master has me understand that this mercy has been shown because the day before yesterday I was able to be faithful to him and not resort to deceit by serving Satan. These pages will be read by Paola, Peppino, Marta, that is, Paola Belfanti, and Marta Diciotti. The name Peppino, which seems to have been inserted later, must refer to Giuseppe Belfanti, the father of Paola, and cousin of the writer's mother. And Father Migliorini, if I still see him. And that's all. The Master wants this. July 7th. Jesus says, Yes, I granted you a flower. See the entry for July 5th. For you are still a woman, and what you are suffering in your sensibility as a woman, which is not understood, causes me pity. But I want you to belong to me alone. You are not yet so generous that you are able to break all earthly ties, and to make your heart deaf to earthly voices, in order to bind yourself to me alone, and hear me alone. And then I break. I have you see the wretchedness of human affections, and have you compare it to mine. They are tinfoil compared to a sheet of pure gold, or rather a block of pure gold. They are splinters of glass compared to the purest diamond. And you want to dally, to gaze at them again and look back at them with regret? O child, but proceed free and joyful, with the freedom and joy of the blessed. There is a sentence on which those of you chosen by me meditate too little. It is by the Apostle Paul. He says, When it pleased the one who had set me apart from my mother's womb, and called me by his grace to reveal his Son in me, at once, without paying heed to flesh and blood. Galatians chapter 1, verses 15 and 16. Afterwards, Paul went back among the Gentiles, but out of obedience to God, he had by then ended the being set apart initiated by God, by setting aside flesh and blood to give himself entirely to true love. You are all people set apart, you that I have chosen for a special mission. I spoke to you about this a few days ago, June 27th. Depart from your land and your kin. Between the soul that is called and the world, a barely perceptible wall rises up, more durable than that of a fortress. You become foreigners to others, while remaining their brothers and sisters. For you, with the tears of your evangelical solitude, work for their good. You do not repudiate them, not you. On the contrary, you love them with perfect love, since flesh and blood and profit and affection hold no weight in your love, but only the charity which comes from God, and which turns friends and enemies, relatives and strangers, and the good and the wicked into brothers and sisters. For you do not look at their faces and their hearts, but at the holy face of God, the Father of all those created, and my heart, loving all men. Go further. Go further. The final stretch of the way is steepest. One must be free of every weight to ascend it. But with every step the horizon expands and the sun gets closer. Come, come, look at me alone. Look at this dwelling, this country, not the little changeable countries of the earth. This eternal one is your house. This eternal one is your country. This eternal one is your love. I, love.